G'day everyone and welcome to another episode of Scoping and Probing. My name is Glenn from Sequential Automotive and today we'll take you through a diagnostic problem that we've got given to us in our workshop. It's a 2008 Mercedes A200 and the fault code that we've got here is a accelerator pedal position sensor Hall effect short circuit to battery. So just a quick overview of the car. It's been to a shop who thought the problem was a TPS sensor. They've replaced that. Still got the same fault code. It was then thought possibly the computer was a problem, so they've sent the computer away. The computer's been tested and said it's okay. So we've now got the car and trying to find what's actually wrong with this car that will not get rid of that fault code P0123 throttle position sensor short. So we will jump into it and diagnose it. Okay, so I've hooked up the scan tool to get some live data to see what the pedal position sensor is doing. And just a quick note, this has actually got two potentiometers in the one throttle position sensor. So there's number one and number two. And as you can see, if I put my foot in the accelerator, sensor number two is actually reading from 0 to about 2.4 volts, but the top one is doing nothing, stuck on 4.97 volts. So for those of you who don't know, most throttle position or pedal position sensors have at least two sensors, maybe some have three, purely for backup. So if one breaks and dies, you've still got one sensor so you can drive the car in limp home mode and so forth. So now what I need to do is get a wiring diagram and just track these circuits, check powers, grounds and signals and see where our problem lies. Okay, so you can see in our wiring diagram, we've got our two sensors, powers and earths. Now this one here is the one we're looking at. The TPS signal voltage is violet and yellow and it goes to pin A49 on the ECU, and our earth circuit is pin 6 at the throttle position sensor, and it is at pin A36 on the engine ECU, which is a brown and white wire. So we'll go over here and I've already hooked this up on our scope. So I've got our brown and white wire hooked in there on this one, and also got it hooked in on the green wire there. So that's our pedal position sensor and our ground, and I've got them up on the scope also just to give it another view of how it works. Okay, so I've got my oscilloscope hooked into it. I'm checking voltages, and on the earth circuit, which is a brown and white wire, if we look up on the scope, that's hooked up to 5 volts. And we can see on our scan tool, which also says 5 volts for that voltage number 1 sensor. Now, the 5 volts is basically there for a bias voltage. So that should be a ground circuit, but it's stuck at 5 volts waiting to be hooked into a sensor, and then it will ground. So if that sensor has a fault, it knows that I shouldn't have 5 volts. That's why it's coming up with a fault code, because that's its bias voltage to check the circuit to make sure it's got continuity. So I know that that's wrong, so I need to know why. So I've checked the wire, and the wire, that earth comes from the computer, and the computer seems fine. All the earths are fine at the computer. So what I'm going to do is just to simulate an earth, or simulate this completing circuit, is put an earth to it, and then we'll see if that signal comes back. So as you can see here, this is the brown and white wire hooked in, which is A36 on the computer. I'm just going to run a ground loop from ground to this, and when I put this in, you can watch the scan tool first. Putting that in now, it's now gone out of red into 0.3 of a volt, and if you look up at the scan tool at the oscilloscope, I'll pull it out again. It's gone from 5 volts there. If I plug that in, both channels come back down now to the earth's gone to ground, and the TPS signal is gone to a little bit, well, what it says there, so 0.3 of a volt. So what I'm going to do now is operate that TPS, and you can watch the scan tool and the actual oscilloscope and watch them work. So slowly putting my foot in the accelerator. You can see on the oscilloscope I'll go up and down a few times. Is that working? And if you look at the scan tool, you can see that voltage change and sweeping with the other one. Okay. So I now know that that circuit is working fine and everything's working as it should from as far as that circuit. So the problem is that engine computer is not actually supplying the ground under load for that TPS to work. So the problem actually is still in that ECU, a faulty ECU. So unfortunately this computer's got to go back and get repaired, and then hopefully for the second time it'll come back and be working good. Thanks for watching.